Hey, welcome back to the next edition of the LBCA Coaches Corner. I'm John Parker. I'm the head baseball coach at Washita Christian and on the part of the LBCA board of directors. And I'm glad to have you back with us. And today we're talking with the head coach of the Eunice Bobcats, Coach Scotty Phillips. So, Coach Phillips, appreciate you joining us today.
Absolutely, man. Glad to be here. I'm glad I could finally find a time where I could meet with you, man, with school starting and everything. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we've started a few other coaches interviews and conversations, I'm going to ask you, just kind of give us a brief overview of your career and, kind of where you got your start and all the way up till right now. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk about that for a few minutes.
Okay, we're good. Mine's real simple. I've been in two places. I started, I got out of college at UL in '92. I started at St. Louis Catholic in the middle of the year, and didn't even know what I was really getting into. But I met a guy that was from Eunice, and he was the AD at St. Louis, and we were at a wedding reception, if I remember right, and we were just talking, and his name was Randy Cooper, and he was like, "Scott, when are you getting out of school?" I said, "Well, I'm actually graduating in the next week or so, and basically, I'm looking for a job." He said, "Man, I need a baseball coach." And I was like, "Well," I said, I might be able to help you." And so he hired me right there. He told me I was hired. I think it was in October, and he said, "Well, you're hired." And he knew I'd played college baseball, and he coached American Legion in Unison. So I stayed there a year and a half, and it was a good experience. And I saw St. Louis is, facing a lot of difficulties right now, as well as a lot of other Lake Charles schools with the damage and everything else. But I stayed there a year and a half, and then I transferred over to Eunice. First year I was an assistant coach under Scotty Richard. Long time head coach Clarence Merricks had left and went to Opelousas Catholic, and Scotty took over for 1 year and learned a lot of good baseball underneath the coach. And then the year after that, he went back to St. Ed's, where he come from, and then I took over from that point on. I've been here. This is my 28th year here.
Wow.
High school. So basically, I graduated from Eunice High School. Went to Southwest Mississippi Junior College in Macomb or Summit, Mississippi, like a twin town. Went to UL. Played baseball there for 2 years, and after that, it's pretty much, been in college and in St. Louis and Eunice. So that's been my path.
I got you.
So a lot of people go all over, but we're kind of. I like where I'm at. I like my school, and I like our little town, and I know it very well. So everything around me helps me become a better coach. Just knowing the kids growing up and stuff like that. I guess we're about 10,000 people in Eunice.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a real big town.
Okay.
But we do have two high schools. I mean, we got St. Ed's and Eunice High School, so we both draw certain kids, and it makes it, sometimes it's tough. They get certain kids, we don't get certain kids, or vice versa. But both schools have been able to compete very well over the years that I've been here. So,
okay.
It's been a good spot for me.
Well, good. Well, during that time of your playing career and then starting your coaching career, and obviously been at Eunice for quite a while now, and just tell me about some and tell our listeners about some influences in your career, in your playing career and in your coaching career. Who are some guys that have had a huge influence in the way you coach?
You take a little bit from a lot of people, and my high school coach, Coach Merricks, was a good man, good coach. I really enjoyed playing for him. He was kind of a laid back guy, but a real spiritual guy, and he really looked out for us. And hell, I still talk to him once a week now. He's well been retired. He's in his late 70s, and I'll call his house, and his wife would be like, "Well, it's your second son calling." It's like, because we kept in touch so much. But I always felt like he was a good influence for me, and anytime I had questions, I would always call Coach, and he helped me out. And and there's a lot of other coaching buddies along the road from way back till now One of them was Scotty Richard, again, who was at St. Anne's. I lean on him a lot whenever, questions and so be it. And, Coach Willis is a great resource right here at LSUE. I mean, the guy's got good information, always got a quick answer, always on point with stuff. And he's always been good to help out with a lot of things with around here as well as just, coaches that were on the staff before I got here that are still with me. One of them is Coach Burson. He's done our stats for us for forever. And he was always a good influence. Coached us in American Legion baseball, and just a good man to hang out with. And like I said, there's been a lot. Those are just to name a few. But I would say, my high school coaches were the biggest impact, and still are the biggest impact on guys that have helped me throughout my career. That I always lean back on, not college coaches or anything like that. I always thought it was high school coaches. College coaches, they change so often. It was like, didn't know where they went after they left, a lot of them. But my high school coach, he was always a staple in my life.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good deal. The earlier you talked just a second ago. You talked about being in Eunice, and
Yeah.
and you said on a town of about 10,000 people, have 2 high schools there, and and I know there's obviously advantages, maybe some disadvantages of being in a small town for so long. Obviously, you said that you really enjoy being in that town and knowing the people and seeing the kids, from probably when they're born, and you're probably coaching some second generation kids right now.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
So just talk to me a little bit, talk to us about, maybe some advantages and disadvantages you may see in, in small town baseball.
Well, kind of like you said, you can see a lot of these kids growing up, and everything's going now to you don't see a whole lot of rec ball anymore. When my kids were growing up, we played a lot of rec ball, so we stayed on track with a lot of those kids. But a lot of them playing U-Trip and they're here and they're there and everything else. You don't see them quite as much, but you know a lot of the families. And one thing that we've always felt was good for us as an advantage in a small town is that we know a lot of the businesses, and they're here to help us, and they've always been good to us, our businesses in town. I mean, for sponsorships, for donations, just anything that we need done in our community at our baseball facility. We've had people that have stepped up to the plate and helped us, with finances and so be it. And that's one good advantage in a small town is that, you don't have too many schools, I guess, like y'all, like you start hitting, the local business in town, they may get hit 15 times by 15
right.
Yeah. Where in Eunice, it's just me and sometimes saying it's not always saying it's hitting them up, or I'm hitting them, or they hit them and I'm not hitting them up. So they're not getting bombarded. But now they may get bombarded by football, tennis, and all these other sports, but it's just one school. And the thing is, most of the people that are in this town are either Bobcats or Blue Jays, so but they contribute both ways.
Yeah.
So they don't have any they don't have any problems helping at school when they can. And again, with COVID and the shutdowns of businesses and all that, I mean, I got a feeling it's going to be a tough year financially to raise the money. I guess the downfalls would be probably lack of a lot of businesses. You only have so many, and a lot of resources. With kids, a lot of times you start running out of. You may have 7 or 8 good players in one class, and the next class may have 3 or 4. And it's like that. It seems like it's like that every other class. So your numbers are, we've gone from 4A to 3A back up to 4A. Our numbers may be 3A. This coming year, we're not sure. It depends whether they even do the numbers with everything going on. Who knows? But I think that'd be one of the downfalls. Just a lack of a lot of kids in a small town, and 2 schools are drawing from them. Trying to get both kids, trying to get kids with us in St. Anne's. But financially, I've never had an issue in this town trying to raise money. Our kids do a great job of it. And we've got a lot of things done in our small town. Everything that like most schools, everything that we've done at our school, I and my coaches have put their hands on. And we're proud of that. So, and probably that's like most people, you know. Like most people don't just snap their fingers and stuff are built for them.
Yeah.
You got to hustle. You got to beat the bushes and get it done, and that's been a plus for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, building a program like you've built and been there for such a long time. And I've talked to other coaches about this, and when you listen to any type of podcast or read a book or go to the ABCA or even LBCA, and the buzzword is culture. And so tell us a little bit about your culture and how you've established your culture in these years at Eunice.
I feel culture-wise that not just in baseball, but in all of our sports, we'll have a blue chipper go through here and there every blue moon, but I always feel like our kids are hard-nosed, they're tough, and they get after it. They'll play hard. Sometimes you'll see our football team, or our baseball team, or our basketball team, or whatever. They'll exceed expectations because their kids, they buy into it. And it's a small town mentality of just buying into what's going on, and you'll feel the whole community, especially as you get into the playoffs and everything else. Like the year we went to the Domes, like the whole city was there. Yeah. Just watching us play, where maybe a town, like y'all town, where they might not, only people that go to your school may go watch it. Whereas in Eunice, the whole town's coming in. Even St. Ed's fans are coming in, vice versa. So that has a lot to do with your culture. Is people in the community buying into it. And I feel that, again, like I said, I feel like our kids are hard-nosed. We've been very fortunate to have really good players come through here, and we've been very fortunate to have average players turn into pretty good players for us.
Yeah.
And I think we just, it's like anybody else. We work hard. I don't know if we outwork anybody, but we work hard, and we try to give them everything we can, and we get the most out of it. And the ones that stick with it, just like in any program, they find a way to help. Whether like in the football programs, whether the guy can just be the holder or the snapper or this or that. Same way in baseball, you might be the base runner. It might be, you find something to make them all feel important.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They all buy in. They do. And that's if you don't make them all feel important, 1 through whatever number you have, 32 kids, then it's going to be a weak link. And you hear that preached by anybody.
Yeah.
Not just by Scott Phillips. You hear that by anybody. You want to make everybody feel important in the program. I don't know if there's another part of that question that you asked me. Maybe I left something off.
If there was another part of the question, I don't remember what it was now. So no, I thought that was great. And I know that, and of course I see this at OCS. I mean, we're, even though we're in a decent sized town, and we pull from a lot of different areas. It's a lot of fun to walk down the elementary hallway and see, an elementary kid wearing one of our hats or wearing one of our baseball T-shirts and things like that. And I'm sure that's the way it is with you. I mean, when you walk around, go around town and you got, little brothers of, kids you're coaching or,
absolutely.
that kind of stuff. And I mean, I know it makes you feel proud to be a part of the program.
I know this, when I first got here, there wasn't like a Bobcat shirt or nothing sold. What I mean? And this is 27 or so years ago. And we started doing that as a program, and then before you know it, everybody in the school's selling that. So you see Bobcat this, Bobcat that, everywhere you go. It's always cool if you go to another town and you see somebody wearing your stuff.
Absolutely,
That's what's cool. And it's like around Christmas time when we start selling this, or our hats come in, and our Zephyr hats. Make sure Tim hears that. Come in, everybody wants a hat. And, they can wear around in sport, it's like they're looking for that new logo or that new design, and so, absolutely. People, that has a lot to do with your culture too, is just seeing people out there wearing your stuff, and nobody's wearing it. It means they probably don't want to wear it.
That's right.
A reason,
That's right.
If they want to wear it, it's because they buy into it and they believe in it. I'm not just going to wear anything. I'm going to wear things that I support.
That's right. Well, no, being a coach that, for all these years, and I know you've seen probably things that are certain styles of the way you coached back when you started have changed tremendously, up until today. It may be, whether it be, of course, you can get on Twitter or anywhere and talk about hitting for hours, and, somebody's way is going to be better than the way you do it, and pitching and everything else. So share with us real quick. I mean, something off the top of your head that maybe there's something that the way you coached or the way you, whether it be your coaching style or a certain way you coached hitting or pitching, that you started out with years ago that maybe have changed and evolved over the years?
Well, I think a lot of things, just number one is just personality, on how you handle kids. When you're young, I know when I was young, that I was always looking for something to get on their tails about and everything else. And started, just once you have your own kids, you start seeing a different way about how to handle kids. Because you have kids that come back and play for you 25 or so years ago, say, Coach, you're not the same dude. You're a lot different than you were back then.
That's right.
And I feel that that's one of the biggest things that has changed for myself and all the coaches that I have working underneath me. Some of them are young, and they're kind of taking a lot of stuff that I do and implement it kind of in the same ways. And so be it. As for throwing and catching and hitting and all that, some people try to reinvent it. I mean, we just try to be consistent on what we're doing, and do a lot of the same things we've always done. And, I mean, I don't think there's many different ways to do certain things. I mean, you got to do, number one, what your kids are capable of doing. If you try to do two things that they're not capable of doing, little Johnny weighs 110 pounds and everything he's trying to hit is in the air, then we're wasting our time. And, I've had to, tone back on some of those things, but I mean, exactly. You got to do what works for you, and that's anything I would. Just one thing that has changed over the last 25 or so years. I remember when I first started coaching. Heck, there was hardly anybody that wore coaching attire. Like if you go watch a high school baseball game, they were in sweatpants, and whatever. And then, in the, I guess, mid-late 90s, people started dressing in baseball uniforms, which looks more professional. And you see almost most of the state is in that direction now, which is a good thing. I think it looks good, but, everybody has their own thing they like to do, but that's one thing that has changed. And the facilities now, you go to ballparks, they're really nice. I mean, you got a lot of top-notch facilities, around the state. And people have upgraded their stuff because that's a selling tool. When you got a nice facility, a kid comes to the park and they look at that park and say, man, this is really nice. They want to go to this. You can't just have the old ballpark, and there still are some out there, but that's just, it is what it is. You got to have something that kids buy into. Number one, besides what you're trying to sell them, and so be it. The facility, to me, is that's a big part of the battle. And you see, just going back to like at our school, we were talking the other day that everybody in our school, every head coach at our school is a Eunice High School graduate. Every one of them.
Wow.
Basketball, football, baseball, tennis. My volleyball's new, but he was a Eunice High School graduate. Track. Everybody at our school was a Bobcat.
Wow.
Time. So that has a lot to do with how your programs are run, because we're all in it for the same reason. We're all in for the community. I ain't saying everybody's got to do that, but we're very fortunate to have that going on in our community, in our school. But I think one of your questions was like advice for young coaches and stuff like that. I don't know if that's your next question or whatever, but we can kind of go into that. But, first of all, it's try to be you. Try to be you. Don't try to be, something you're not. Try to find good mentors, number one. Just like if you're going into teaching, you're trying to find a good mentor that can help you, with your teaching, same thing with your coaching. And don't try to do too much, because, I remember when I first started, man, it was like me and one other guy, and you drive yourself crazy. and half the time you wouldn't have a practice plan in order. If you did, you threw it out the window, and you're trying to do everything. And by the time practice is over, you ain't accomplished anything. And main thing is, I know when we're done, I'll go home that night and I'll come up with a practice plan. I still write them. I've never gotten into typing, but I write it the old school way, and we'll post it, and we'll try to go through everything to the T and make sure we cover this, that, and the other. And to me, a practice plan and anything you're doing, even as a lesson plan, as teaching, that's the way to make sure you don't forget and you cover what you want. Learn how to, again, young coaches need to learn how to communicate with parents. Going in there with the attitude, I don't want to talk to any parents, I don't want to be around no parents and stuff like that. There's so many of them that can help you. You know, there's some that can hurt you, and you got to watch how you go about doing it. But there's a many that can help you. You know, and a lot of them, I've had parents that have stayed with me even after their kids have graduated, you know, and still try to help the program. I had a dad that just passed away the other day. He was a muscular dystrophy person. He had those issues, and when his son graduated, I could see his decline, and he had to stop working. And he asked me if he could still help do the gate, and he did it until like 2014. This was in the 90s whenever he was helping me. That's how long he helped me, because he bought into what was going on. And I got to speak at his service. It was just last Thursday, and it was really neat to talk to the family and just tell the family how much their dad meant to me. And you know, and there's a lot of parents that mean a lot to you, you know, in your program. So try to talk to parents, communicate with them, have a plan, have a goal, and that would be some of the best advice I could give any young coach, you know, and just get a mentor, somebody that you can call, just like my high school coach. I can call and say, Coach, what do you think about this? No, it's not right. You need to do this. Okay, good. You know, when you get some different, and believe in your assistant coaches that are helping you. You know, talk to them. What do they think? And that goes a long ways as well. So those are things I would think, you know, as a young coach coming in, you know, is cover yourself in the school, number one, as you teach, and then worry about the baseball side next. Because that teaching job is the main thing you got to have in order to be a coach.
Yeah.
You know, and other than that, buying the parents. You know, not buying the parents, but communicate with your parents.
Yeah.
You know, let them know what's going on.
That's such that's a tough side. I mean, I know, you know, when I got into as a head coach, just I mean, I'm starting my 8th year now as a head coach, but you know, that was, you know, my first couple of years was pretty tough dealing with parents, and you know, my personality was.
They want to test you.
Yeah, it was
just like a teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, my personality was a little different than Coach Harper, who I took over for, and so I mean, it was tough to navigate those, but I mean, I've learned over the years, and you know, how those relationships can definitely you know, benefit to the program.
Absolutely. That's exactly how I was too. When I first started, I was 22 or 23 years old. I felt like I didn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you can't get nothing done, you know, you got parents that are in construction, you got parents that are this, you got parents that are that, and they can bring something to the table. It can help you.
Yeah.
You know, but you got those parents that expect this and expect that. And
yeah.
I've lost some good friends on the way too. Like I said, you know, I've had some good friends that I thought were good friends, and then you know, I'm not saying you're using them, but you know, I guess in a way they're kind of using you as well. But again, you know, you try to build relationships with kids as well as players. Eliminating parents, I don't think that's a good way to go. I think, you know, you gotta have a good match with both.
Last thing I want to ask you real quick. Well, actually, I've probably got a couple more things, but you know, we talked about, you know, relationship with parents, but how about relationship with kids? You know, what do you, you know, in all these years you've been doing it, and you know, obviously, I mean, it's a lot like dealing with parents. A lot of times, I mean, there's some that you connect really well with. There's some that's a little bit harder to connect with. What do you think's one of the, you know, two, you know, maybe 1, 2, 3 more, you know, most important things about connecting with your kids?
I'll tell you what really helps now is the Facebook era. You know, you can keep track of some. You know, you friend them, you check on them, you see their birthday, you send them a text or a little thing, happy birthday. You know, just communicate with kids, because a lot around here there's not much economy, so a lot of kids have moved. You know, so like a lot of your kids that played for you 10 or 15 years ago, you may only see them at the alumni tournament when they come in to play at the alumni tournament. But you know, I've been very fortunate. Most, not all, but most, just like any coach, come out of their way to try to help, you know, the program or and talk, you know, to me and my assistant coaches that have been with me the same amount of time. And I think main thing is when you have them, show them you love them, you know, show them you care about them, you know. And like I said a while ago, no matter if they're number 1 or they're number 32, if you show that number 32 guy, meaning probably the weakest guy on your team, that you care, that goes a long ways down the road, because eventually you're going to run into that number 32 guy, and he's going to be a grown man, and he's going to look at, you know, and if you ever show that kid any attention, like he didn't matter, then you won't matter. You know, and I've had people, you know, not tooting the horn, but I've had people actually say, Coach, you know, when you always looked after everybody. And I feel like as a coach, as a man, I really do try to look after all my kids. I'll check on them if they're sick. I'll text them as this and text them as that. You know, it doesn't matter who they are. I mean, where they are, they're part of my team. So I'm putting a lot of stock in those guys, you know, and I think, you know, again, Facebook has helped a lot. Because even kids that I've coached at St. Louis 28 years ago or so, I have some of them on my phone. I can text them. You know, I saw one of them had lost his daughter, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, and I texted him and I got his number to text him, and he was so glad he had heard him, and we've been communicating ever since. So you know, a lot of those kids you've built I felt like I've built a bond with, and I think as a coach, that's a good thing too. And a lot of those kids give back to your program. You know, I mean, they give back if they can. You know, and it's not that you're asking them to, but a lot of kids feel, you know, the need, especially if they're making a decent living, to try to help the program, you know. And it's always cool when you look in the stands and you'll see some guys that play for you watching you play, you know, or you get a text or a Facebook message, Coach, good luck in the playoffs. Let me know when you're in Baton Rouge or Shreveport or whatever, because that's where I live. Let me know because I want to come watch. And it's been cool to experience that, you know, to see people, you know, show that interest and keep showing that interest in the program, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that's attributed to being somewhere for so long like I have. I mean, it's like you feel like you know everybody, you know. and even if they don't know you, you don't know them, they know you, you know. Where bigger towns, they may not know, but a small town, most people know who the coaches are in our schools, and so be it. So and again, they like to help, you know.
Yeah, I think you know, I've been, you know, during this quarantine time and all through the summer, that kind of stuff, I'm able to read some books and you know, on leadership and those type of things. And, you know, the pretty much the general theme is, you know, you got to love your kids. You got to love them. You know, they got to know, they need to know that you love them, you care for them, you're going to be there, you know, at a, you know, if grandfather dies, I mean, you know, you're going to be right there with them, and, you know, those type of things. That's where you build that.
It don't matter if they're number 1 or 32.
That's right.
That's what I said. It don't matter if they're the last guy. If their grandma dies, you should be there trying to console them, trying to talk to them and help them. You know.
That's right.
One of my assistant coaches, I remember Coach Charlie. His daddy had died. He was a sophomore in high school or something like that. His daddy passed away of a heart attack, and I remember going to meet him at the funeral home and having a long talk with him and talking with him throughout the year, just trying to, you know, to encourage him and continue moving on. And now he's one of my assistant coaches, and heck, he's almost like a son to me. I mean, it's like we do a lot of things together. We talk almost every single day or text every day, and that's a bond that's there. You know, that was started from a long time ago. You know, and a lot of it's just because showing concern when his father died. He needed a man or a father figure in his life.
That's right.
And his mother has thanked me countless times, and that's just showing compassion and helping people, man. When it really comes down to it, you know, showing a little bit of compassion to show you care for people.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, obviously
that's a big thing.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, you know, every one of us, our goal is, you know, as far as team goals. I mean, you know, we want to be playing and winning that state championship. But, you know, and when it all comes down to it, I mean, if we're not really working on developing young men and developing that connection with them, and then we failed really. And you know, those rings, they're just gonna collect dust. But those relationships, like you said, I mean, those relationships will last a lifetime. And
I agree 100%. I mean, it's some of those guys, like you said, that I coached, I'm actually very good friends with now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I look back when I was at St. Louis that many years ago. Heck, they're almost as old as me. You know, I'm 51 and they're 46, 47. I mean, it's like, heck, they got families. Some of them are grandparents.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like I keep thinking of them when I think of them as young people.
Yeah.
But they're grown men now.
Yeah.
You know, but man, they always said, "It's a coach, boy, you're a lot different than you were with this man. Always looking to get on somebody's butt. Where now I'm looking to try to keep peace and harmony and make things go better. You know, and you change your ways over time, and then with liabilities and everything else. One thing I can always tell a young coach, and sometimes myself I get caught up in this, is, and I was told this years ago by my principal, is one thing you can't defend is your language with young coaches, because your young coaches are coming there and they want to throw these ugly words out at kids and stuff like that. And it just takes that one kid that you really strike that nerve, and they go home, and before you know it, they're audioing you or whatever, and before you know, you're in a picture and you lose your job. And that's one thing, and that's something I've told a lot of my coaches around here, is that always pretend that you're getting videoed and audio. Always feel like you're doing it, and that way you try to do the best that you can possibly do. Don't say things you shouldn't say, and don't do things you shouldn't do. And watch what you post before you press send and stuff like that, because that can all come back to bite you, man, especially in our profession that we're in.
Absolutely.
You gotta be careful.
The last thing I just ask you real quick, and like I said a minute ago, I mean, I've done a lot of reading and listening to podcasts and that kind of stuff during this quarantine time and the COVID restrictions and all this kind of stuff. So what have maybe during this time, I mean, what have you learned through not being able to coach baseball for a period of time and be around your kids? So what is that? What have you learned, and to share with with all of us?
One thing I learned is that I can get tired and enjoy life. I've really enjoyed a lot of the free time. I have a lawn service business, so I stay pretty busy with that. And whenever it shut us down on the 13th, and heck, all our tournament, it's like, I just got busy with my grass and my yards. The grass is growing, and learned that I could live without sports a little bit, even though I missed it, but I could live without it. And then once we had an opportunity to play in the summer, and then our school system shut us down on that. So that kind of got me up here to down there, right back like I was, and I just kept on doing what I was doing. And that was one thing that hurt us in our school system, is that they shut down as well as some others, anything that we could do on our facilities. I mean, we didn't start lifting weights till July. Football couldn't do anything till July as well. So we were totally, hampered on everything that we could do. We couldn't do anything. So it got to where you just had to find everything. So I still communicate with my kids, just to touch base with them and stuff. But it'll be good when we can get back, even if we get back into the hybrid setting where we can see them daily, or a couple days a week. Because right now, just virtual stuff, man, it's just, I don't know, man. It's not where we need to be. Hopefully the governor will put us in phase 3, and hopefully we'll move out of this, and hopefully everything will be back as normal as we possibly can be down the road. But going back to your question, I just feel like I learned that I watch more news than sports, because there wasn't much sports going on anyway. I mean, I seemed like I was always on Fox and stuff like that watching, and I get aggravated and I turn it off and I go do something else, and learn more about politics and learn more about just different things going on. And but again, hopefully our seasons can continue this year, and hopefully we can all play, and hopefully they don't take anything away from us. We've already missed pretty much an entire season.
That's right.
So I'm curious to see. I don't know. I know that today's Wednesday. They're meeting today. So hopefully maybe they'll give us some insight for us in the spring. I don't know. Football's already going to go till Christmas.
Yeah.
Then you got basketball sandwiched in the middle. I mean, hopefully we don't. Maybe you know more than me. I don't know. I haven't heard about us.
No, I haven't heard anything about baseball. I mean, what I have heard is that they weren't planning on pushing the winter sports back. They were planning on letting the winter sports start on time. So I hope that's the case, and they don't push them into spring, which will affect us. So
I just hope that we can play a full season. We don't need to miss a game. We need to play a full season, man. To me that was the toughest thing last year. Is just I only had 3 seniors, but 3 really good dudes, man. And not being able to just do a senior night with them, or just having their parents with them, just enjoying the season as it plays out. felt like that was the toughest thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of those kids, man, and they were first-class kids too. Hopefully that don't happen again. You know, so.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Phillips, I appreciate you joining us in this edition of the LBCA Coaches Corner. And, I know if there's some coaches out there that would like to visit with you, I'm sure you'll be willing to talk with them. And, that's one good thing I was talking to Coach Carroll about. One good thing about baseball community is that we, I think in baseball community, we're willing to share, like you said, we're not reinventing the wheel. I mean, hitting is hitting, pitching is pitching. I mean, there's different philosophies and that kind of stuff. But when it all comes down to, you got to hit the ball hard and you got to throw strikes, So
that's the bottom line. I think baseball coaches, like you said, do a pretty good job of communicating with one another. It's not too many secrets. It's like, it's a game, and we all respect it, and we all coach it hard, and our kids play hard, and we do our thing. And I think we all do a pretty good job of it.
Yeah. So, if there's anybody out there that wants to connect with Coach Phillips, you can. I'm sure you can reach out to him, and he'll be willing to talk to you, give you any advice he knows. I mean, he's got obviously a wealth of advice that wealth of knowledge, I should say, that he can share with you. Anyway, Coach, again, I appreciate you joining us. Man. Yes, sir.
I appreciate you having me. Yes, sir.
All right. Hope you all enjoyed this edition of the LBCA Coaches Corner. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Let's see.